Welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so delighted we're spending this time here today. We have a very inspiring show coming right up with special guest Alden Mills, and he's here today to share with us his new book, Be Unstoppable: The 8 Essential Actions to Succeed at Anything. Now, we've been lucky enough to have Alden on the show before. He is an amazing person. He's a 3-time Navy SEAL platoon commander and was CEO of Perfect Fitness. He's also a longtime entrepreneur with over 40 patents and has over 25 years experience working on high-performance leadership, sales, and team building. So let's welcome to the show, Alden Mills.
Thank you, Marianne. It's a real pleasure to be here.
What a joy it is to have you here. My goodness, the last time we had you on the show, it was such a profound discussion. And now we're here to talk about your other book, Be Unstoppable. I just can't wait.
And I can't wait to share it with you.
Well, hey, great. Then we're going to get started on this. So I got to hear, what is the inspiration behind writing this book? Because my goodness, this book you can do anything with.
The inspiration for this was really my 4 boys, and that was part one. And the trigger to actually sit down over a 10-year period and write it was a dear friend of mine from SEAL team was the first SEAL killed in Afghanistan. And I knew that his son would be getting a letter from him called a just in case letter. And it really made me wonder what Neil had written in that letter to an 18-month-old son. So I sat down and started writing just in case letters to my boys as they started sequentially appearing in my life from 2003, 2005, 2007, and finally 2009. And by that point, the book had taken shape.
Wow. And I think when people look at that, you talk about the legacy you leave behind. And this book has so much useful life information. I mean, what a great inspiration this is that you leave for them.
I thank you. I have felt that way. Many of the people who have endorsed the book have called it timeless. And at the end of the day, what I really wanted to do was not to just give this laundry list of, well, here are the 8 actions to succeed at anything. But to make it in a compelling story format. So I created that parable because in the beginning, it was like the way I started the writing of the book was a do this, don't do that sort of a scenario. And some of them were pretty stupid, right? I mean, I was trying to make them kind of fun at the same time. And I have boys, so it was like, hey, don't pee in a fan, right? And after a while, I was like, all right, you know what? They're gonna tune out after I put down 100 of do this, don't do that. And I invented this story about a fictitious seaside town called Up to You. And these people everybody was born with a boat in this town. And then they spend the rest of their lives learning how to navigate their boat and modify their boat. And obviously that's analogous with what we do with our lives and our capabilities. And then at the end of each chapter, I then put in a nonfiction portion of this is how I learned each of the 8 actions, and then here's a way to apply them. And when you really look at success and you boil success down, because I think every parent wants their children to be successful, regardless of whatever their passion is they go after, as long as they're not successful in an illegal trade. Right? I really worked to boil it down to how do you continue to persist? Because that's what success is really based on. It's all about persistence. It's about getting up, trying it a different way, and keep going. And that's what the book Be Unstoppable is really all about.
I think that's such an important life lesson to learn at any age. A lot of people go through life never learning that. And I can see why this book is so popular with companies, and they have you come up and do leadership discussions in regards to this, because a lot of this is stuff people have never learned.
they haven't learned it, or they learned elements of it. They've forgotten it. Adults in particular are really the most challenging group, because a lot of them are like, no, I'm baked. I'm done. I'm set in my ways, until they start realizing, whoa, I'm only 50 and my job just fell out from underneath me, and I have to really change the way I was doing things. And that's where this book can help at any stage of life. And I had originally intended it for a parent and a child. So the parent could read it and be like, hey, I totally agree with these principles. And by the way, here's how I use them. And said child, you try this out while you're trying out for the JV football team. Because it doesn't matter. Success, whether you're looking for success in the classroom, the art studio, or the athletic field for the child, it's the same. There's the same principles. If you're in the corporate world, an entrepreneur, a nonprofit, again, success principles are exactly the same.
Are they the same for Navy SEALs?
Yes. And, that's one of the things I really drive home in here, is that you don't have to go through Navy SEAL training to understand some of the beautiful elements of what SEAL training is really trying to teach you. And at the core of Navy SEAL training, what they're trying to teach you is to learn to focus and control the only three things you can control: how you think, how you feel, and how you act. That mental, emotional, physical componentry and how you align them, i.e. focus, will drive your energy to take an action. And I have this old instructor, SEAL team, and I tell a bit of a story about him in one of them. There's lots of stories in at the end of each chapter, and he has this deep Southern accent, and he would say, it ain't complicated, it's just hard. And what he's talking about is everybody wants to be a SEAL on a sunny day. And the hard part is America doesn't need SEALs on sunny days. They need SEALs on scary days, on days when it's cold and dark and wet, and that crack over your head ain't thunder, and somebody want you dead. And I can still hear him saying, so how bad do you want to be a SEAL on that day? Now, remove the term SEAL from anybody who wants to be a SEAL on a sunny day and replace it with varsity athlete, sales superstar, great musician, super painter. You pick it. Everybody dreams up what they want to be on the sunny day. It's all the effort that goes into all the days that are the, metaphorically speaking, cloudy days. The ones where everybody seems like it's not going your way, and then now the work is hard and you can't really see when you're succeeding versus when you're failing. And actually everything feels like you're failing. And the biggest challenges that come up aren't the ones that are the external challenges. They're the ones that are internal. The demons of doubt, that I call them. The ones that you wage a battle inside your head. And that battle really is between your head and your heart and that conversation. The conversation that's going to drive you to either quit or get up the next day and give it all you got and try one more day. Because at the end of the day, that's all we've got. One day at a time. Getting up, opening our heart, giving it all we have with the most positive intent of making whatever that dream is a reality.
Yeah, that's such an important thing. A lot of times people don't know how to get from where they're at to where they want to be, and all this stuff is in the way. And you really break it down so people can make it very clear on how to move from where they're at to be successful.
Isn't that the challenge, right? And most people, I tell this story in the book about these two entrepreneurial minded classmates of mine going through SEAL training. And one of our responsibilities going through SEAL training is you have to clean the instructor's office every day. Now, there are 3 phases in training, very creatively called first phase, second phase, and third phase. And in first phase, they have one of our biggest challenges, and that's Hell Week. And Hell Week is this 6-day period where they keep you up from a Sunday night to a Friday afternoon and give you a total of about 3 to 3.5 hours of sleep. And the students were tasked with cleaning, which I was one of them, tasked with cleaning this office. And very squarely in the middle of the office on the main desk is a large 3-ring binder. And it says class 181, that was my class, Hell Week schedule. And it's like 3 inches thick. And one of them grabs it, goes, "Oh my gosh, look what I've got. I'm going to go photocopy this." And went out and photocopied the schedule and then brought it back. Now, I didn't know he was doing it at the time. And we huddled at the end of the day. And he said, "Hey, guys, look what I've got. I got the Hell Week schedule. Who wants to see it?" And I'm like, "Well, I definitely don't want to see it. Actually, guys, I wouldn't look at that if I were you." And the 2 guys started looking at it. And they started flipping through every set of rotations. Every 8 hours, new instructors were coming on. And they were lining out all these different physical things that we were going to be doing. And what do you think happened?
Well, I'm pretty sure they got in trouble for that.
Well, they got in trouble, but the biggest trouble they got in wasn't for stealing it. It was for quitting. Because once they realized and saw what the whole schedule looked like, they're like, "We can't do this. It was too overwhelming." And they're like, "Forget it, man. I quit." And they went and rang the bell. And I use that story
Wow.
because it's very synonymous with people who are thinking about a goal. And I talk to folks all the time. Focus on the moment, not the mountain. If you focus on the mountain and look, "Oh my gosh, I have to take all these steps and look how high it is and I'll never get there." And I'm making a mountain analogous with your goal. And I'm talking about a big goal, right? A goal of like, "Well, I know I just started in this company, but someday I want to be the CEO of it, or I want to lead this, or I want to start a company, and I want to," not just going from point A to point B in a week, a goal that takes 6 months, maybe 6 years to accomplish. So many people give up on these goals because it's just too overwhelming to them, and they self-sabotage. They defeat themselves because they focus on the mountain instead of just that moment, because that moment is the only thing you can control. And that's why I really wrote that book, to give first to my boys. And to be honest with you, Marianne, I just thought the book, I'd print 100 copies, give it to some family and friends, and that would be the end of it. And 5 years later, and tens of thousands of copies, and now lots of corporations bringing me in, it's been a whirlwind of excitement to see people realizing, "Hey, I can do this. I just got to take one step back and take it one step at a time."
Well, isn't that what life is all about anyway? I mean, we're not here with, easy, simple lives. People have challenges and things they go through. And what are you going to do? Give up? Or are you going to keep moving forward?
And I'm sad to say, so many people settle. They just settle. They're like, "I'm 30 now." I talked to someone the other day. I was like, "Well, I'm 30. It's kind of hard to change careers at that point." I
What?
nearly like spat my apple at him. Like, "What? You're just getting started."
Oh my
At
gosh.
60, like Ray Kroc teamed up with the McDonald's brothers in his early 50s to get McDonald's off the ground. Like some of our best ideas come to us. Some of the best art was created with artisans who were over 50. Look at Picasso's work. So it's a matter of just don't give up on those dreams and keep taking daily action, however small, however slight. Take that extra step every day.
Well, you've kind of gone over a few of the 8 actions. I'd love for you just to spell them out for our listeners.
Well, to give the listeners context, being that I'm in the military, having gone to the Naval Academy and then spent 12 years serving the country, I love acronyms. I love acronyms because, especially if the acronym spells something, it helps me remember it. So the whole book, which is called Be Unstoppable, the 8 Essential Actions to Succeed at Anything, is all comprised of a memory aid of an acronym that also stands for what is required for you to find success. So the acronym is called the letter U, persist. U hyphen persist. And the U stands for understand your why. The P stands for plan in 3D. E is exercise to execute. R is for recognize your reason to believe. S, survey your habits. I, improvise. The next S, seek out experts. And T, team up.
Well, I appreciate you going over that for our listeners, and we're not going to cover each of these. We do want people to pick up their own copy of Be Unstoppable because it is such a profound book, and the parable you have in it is really well written and makes a lot of sense. And I could see how people are implementing it in their lives today. But I'd love for you to share, there's some things you talk about in your book that I'd love for you to share with us. And one is an outcome account. So what is that and why would we use it?
I didn't know it at the time, but I was creating an outcome account in my head when I was considering quitting in SEAL training in Hell Week. By the time we got to Hell Week, we were down to 18. We started right before class up with 122. 6 weeks later, we're down. On Wednesday night, we're at 18. And the instructors, I was the only officer left, and we had 17 enlisted. And the officers would come to me, but really the instructors and the officer instructors would come to me and they'd whisper in my ear, "Sir, how can you honestly think you're going to lead in SEAL team if you can't even lead your class through Hell Week? I mean, look around, sir. Half your class is gone just in the last 3 days. This is just awful. We're going to have to combine this class." And they whispered all kinds of negativity. It was never shouting. It was whispering. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, maybe they're right. I mean, they were really trying to reason me into ringing the bell. And then I'd have this moment. I'd tune them out and I would think about what is it going to feel like if I ring that bell? The actual action of ringing a bell is not hard. It's the regret that comes with it that builds over time. And so in the beginning, the most kind of biggest outcome that I thought of that just was a big regret for me was having to go back to my hometown and face these people that from the beginning had told me, "You're never going to make it." The naysayers. To hear him say, "I told you so," and to hear him say that for the rest of my life. And then when that one didn't propel me much more, I played the outcome even longer. and I took it out 20 years and thought about me as a parent, because I knew I wanted to be a parent, and turning to my children and saying, now don't do what dad did. Don't quit. Don't give up on your dreams. And when I get to that point, I was like, oh my God, that just makes me sick to my stomach. I do not want to star in that movie. Now, there were plenty of times that I would think about the positive outcome, and sometimes the positive outcome was the one that motivated me. Like, wow, I can't wait to go home and tell my parents and be the first one in the family to make it through SEAL team. Or maybe it was when we were starting our business and how we could stave off bankruptcy and how we could really bring this first product to market, really help lots of different people take control of their bodies. I was in the fitness business. And then what I ended up doing over time was formalizing the outcome account. And the way I do it is you create this large T, capital T on a piece of paper. On the very top of the T, I'd write down, what's my goal? Define it as best I could. Graduate from SEAL team on such and such a date. Launch X product and sell Y of them over Z amount of time. And then right underneath, on the left side of the T, I'd write a plus, and on the right side of the T, I'd write a minus. On the plus column, I would write, what's the desired outcome? Who does it impact should the outcome come to light? And how does that make me feel? And how does it make the people who are impacted feel with that outcome? And then I would do exactly the same drill, but flip it. I'd take it from the positive and to the negative. And then I'd write the same thing out. Okay, the outcome doesn't occur. And who does that impact negatively? And how does it make them feel? And how does it make me feel? And what you're going to find when you go through that process, and over time, you'll just start to do it naturally. In the beginning, it'll feel mechanical. But over time, you'll start to go, whoa, wait a minute. I mean, this is a rainy day, but it's not that bad. I don't want to give up on this dream. This is going to be transformative for me down the road. If I can get this business off the ground, I won't have to go back to my old corporate job that I hated, and I'll be able to show a whole bunch of kids how to start their own business. And how wonderful will that be? And I'll be able to teach my kids how to start a business, right? And that steamrolling positive energy starts going. Same thing will happen on the negative side. You're like, oh, that's such a miserable outcome. I'd rather deal with it today and suck up the misery of a rainy day than have to deal with that misery that will haunt me for the rest of my life. That's what an outcome account is.
Well, that really puts things in a greater perspective, because a lot of times people, they see that stormy day and they're thinking it's going to rain every day, not realizing it's just a season.
Thank you. It's just like looking at the mountain, right? They extrapolate, oh, this last step I just took was so hard. How can I possibly do 1,000,000 more steps up this mountain? And they psych themselves out and they give up. And the thing that I really want people to understand is, if they can think on their own, if they can have emotion and feel on their own, and they've got a body that can do things, then they have the gifts to go define a destiny that will excite them. But they've got to put the effort in. They've got to willingly get up day after day and keep trying.
So let's say they put the effort in, they're going full steam ahead, and everything is falling apart. What do they do then?
The last two actions of the book, seek experts and team up, are critical. In SEAL training, after you make it through Hell Week, you get assigned a swim buddy. The process of having another person by your side flips the dynamic from an 80% plus failure or quitting rate to a 90+% success rate. Same thing happens as a civilian. Think of team in training. I love the example of team in training. Here are these people that are trying to do their first triathlon, and what do? They put a whole bunch of people who've never done a triathlon together with one team leader who's done a triathlon before. Or maybe there's a couple of people who've done one and a whole bunch of people have never done it. And now they've got this positive energy of like, hey, let me show you the way. I'll help you. The other thing is, of course, you're not going to know how to do everything, especially when you're going out to tackle something that's the unknown. Find experts. Get your ego out of the way and look for somebody in an industry that's either in the industry you're trying to work in or some kind of task that you're trying to deal with that can help you and advise you to help you reduce your amount of failure rates and experience. And if you have to pivot, I didn't say quit, I said pivot, change direction a bit to get to your goal, then that expert can help you with that. But don't forget, you're not alone. You don't have to do this all by yourself. You'd be very surprised to find out that experts, and I help people all the time, hey, how did you do this? Could you give me a little advice here? Because I was helped. I didn't do this all by myself. I brought the perfect push-up to market with 20 other people. Maybe I'll take credit for writing a little idea on a napkin, but everything else was all these different people that came and be my super friends and help bring something to market.
Yeah, it's really having that team that really makes things so important. And I know that you work with a lot of different corporations when they realize that their teams are floundering or not doing so well. You speak all over the country, right?
I do, all over the world.
And usually, what do they have you come out to talk on? What are some of the most important topics?
3 things, and they're usually in this lineup. I call them the 3 lines of leadership on how to be unstoppable. They are how to lead yourself, how to lead your directs. That would be the people that you're directly responsible for in your team. And then how to lead your indirects. Those are the people that are instrumental in helping your team be successful, but you don't have direct authority over them. They may be, and they are, your customers, your contributors, other coworkers that are on your team, and the communities in which you operate in. But it all starts with leading yourself. And that's what Be Unstoppable is. It's all about leading yourself. And it ends with teaming up. And my latest book, Unstoppable Teams, picks up where Be Unstoppable ends. And what they'll find is that the connective tissue through the entire chain comes down to our single most powerful human emotion. And that's care. Care is a building block for love. But you don't get love until you show you care. Because at the end of the day, as Teddy Roosevelt astutely has said over 100 years ago, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's what you're doing, Marianne. I mean, you couldn't stick this out for as long as you have if you didn't truly care about the content and the people that you bring on your show and to all your listeners. And that's why I love working with you.
oh, well, thank you. You just made my day. So, it's, and it's nice to be able to have discussions with people who are looking to make such a positive impact in the world, such as yourself. And for people, maybe people want to look at your books and your blogs and other things. And also, when we have corporations that are looking for keynote speakers, I mean, where can they reach you and connect with you and be part of your community?
Thank you for asking. They can reach me on my website, which is Alden-Mills.com. ALDEN Mills, MILLS.com.
Well, I know you're a very busy speaker, so we have lots of CEOs and people who are in charge of corporations that do listen to the show. And so they want to book you for the 20 and 21 schedule, because I know you're booked already.
I am booked out that far, but it's an honor to do it. And I'm very passionate about it. And I do not do canned speeches. Like, to me, you got to tailor it to the audience and to the organization and what their needs are. But I love doing it. Yeah. I call it my ministry.
That is so important. Well, Alden, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
You're very welcome. And keep inspiring, Marianne. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Alden. Gosh, I'm honored that we got to spend this time together and to talk not just about the work you do, but also your books. Be Unstoppable is one of your great books that you have. It's available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all indie retailers. If you don't see it on the shelf, ask for them to order it. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. You're listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.